And I'm like, oh my God. So took me on the date, and it was an excellent date. We had so much to talk about. And then after the date, he was texting me nonstop saying, I'm thinking about you, like all the things you want to hear from a guy. And then one time we're supposed to meet, and he canceled last minute, which was kind of rare, but he seemed very disheveled on the phone. And I was like, okay, whatever. So that night I was just scrolling on Facebook, and all of a sudden I saw a friend of a friend that I had met a long time ago. And in her picture, he was in the picture.
What? That's how ironic is that?
So I click the profile, and then I see an engagement in Central Park between the two of them. Like, he surprised her. And I'm like, wait, well, let me make sure they're still engaged. And sure enough, like, drill down, they were still engaged. And so, I'm sorry.
No, you are good.
Yeah. And so I was like heated, and like, I didn't want to go to him because I knew he would lie. So I literally Facebook messaged her, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but your fiance took me on a date last week. And she said,
hey, y'all, it's your girl, DJ with Plan for Keeps dating app and podcast. And today I have a special guest for Dating Chronicles, Lauren Dike. She is a part of Unlock Creative. We're going to dive into her business, and we're also going to dive into a funny, crazy, or lesson learned dating story. But before I get into all of that, I like to learn about all of my guests that come on the show. So I want to learn more about Unlock Creative.
Yes. So the company that I'm with, Unlock Creative, is a company focused on helping Black and Brown creatives advance in the work world and empower them. And so they are fiscally sponsoring me to launch a program that helps Black women heal from stress. There's data out there that shows that Black women have the highest allostatic load, or another word for baseline stress, than any other demographic. And it's killing us. It's making Black women drop out of corporate America at exponential rates. So I designed a program that helps educate them on how gendered racism affects their nervous system and brain.
Wow.
And then gives them tools to heal from that. And it's tools that you have to use on a daily basis. So I'm super excited about it.
Wow. Tell me a little bit more about the gender racism.
So the specific gendered racism that Black women face is misogynoir. So basically, it's the intersection of being both Black and a woman and facing anti-Blackness. So you can see on television how we're presented either as like the mammy that's asexual or hypersexual, the Jezebel, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, in corporate America, we face microaggressions or insults. And, you know, it's both the covert and overt racism that wears on our bodies.
Got you. How does it show when it's like, how does it show when it is affecting you? Because I feel like, I know I work in corporate America now as a recruiter. I'm just curious on how does it show up, and that you probably aren't even thinking like it's affecting you.
Yeah, I think it transpires differently in different women because it depends on your coping skills. For me, it transpired in very intense anxiety and depression. And it's almost like Sunday scaries every single day, but then also feeling confused about your identity because you're putting on a mask of like how to blend in with all these it's usually all white people, right? And then you get home and you're just like, whoa, who am I? And I'm so used to covering all the time. And then it also shows up as a small window of tolerance. So it's interesting. There's a angry Black woman trope out there, but it's true because our anger manifests easy because it's such a small window of tolerance because we're used to dealing with so much stuff.
Right.
Or you can cry easily. I'm a crier. So it shows up differently in different people, but a good way to understand if you have it is if you feel stressed and burnt out and it's overwhelming. That's a good sign.
That's probably a really good sign. I think that's probably the only way I feel it, like every blue moon. I'll feel stressed or I'll feel burnt out. Okay. Yes. How did you veer into this? Because I know you said you're a D&I consultant. So I'm assuming due to your own personal experiences, this is why you decided to take this on.
Exactly. Yeah. I was at corporate America in finance for like 12 years. Always the only woman in the room, always the only Black person in the room. So that in its own wore on me, but I was laid off in Juneteenth of 2020, and it provided an opportunity for me to be like, what do I really want to do? And it was change how people feel inside corporate America. So that's why I fell into DEI.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And then when I was in DEI, I'm kind of like, I still want to drill in deeper into equity and specifically Black women because I'm a Black woman. So I understand exactly how they feel. And not every Black woman, right? Because I don't represent every Black woman. But it was just mainly my life experiences. And I have done major interventions on myself to heal. And I want to share that with others.
What's a couple of tips? Because the audience is mostly a Black audience, a lot of women. What tips would you give? Like maybe a couple.
Yeah. So for me, meditation was key. And because I used to just meditate or do yoga off and on,
Okay.
but you have to commit to doing it daily for at least 5 minutes. And there's data out there that says it literally changes the way you react in certain situations. It calms your nervous system. So meditation is key. And then another thing for me was somatic exercise. So there's different somatic exercises out there, like if you want to shake out stress, or there's like a butterfly movement. There's just different movements you can do, because trauma is also something that Black people, not just women, are susceptible to, with interracial trauma, post-traumatic slave syndrome, all of that.
Yeah.
So you have to release it out of your body. Like talk therapy is amazing, but you also have to release it somehow through your body. So those two things have really, really helped me.
Got you. Okay, another tip to get into meditation, because it's so hard for people to start. What tip would you give? Even I know, like you just gave an example of like the movement that you give. So many people would think that's so silly at first.
Right.
What tip would you give? I don't know. A thought came to my head, like maybe imagining like just the stress leaving your body as you're doing that.
What it is, it's inhaling, exhaling, imagining the stress leave your body. It does feel silly, but if you do it, it's 3 minutes is the magic number. Afterwards, if you can sense how good you feel, you'll want to do it again.
Especially
in privacy.
Yeah, I think especially putting that imagery with it at the same time as you're doing it. That's what popped up in my head as you were doing that. Okay, that's awesome tips. Y'all follow those tips. And then meditation too. What tip would you give for meditation? Because I feel like that it's hard because our brains are just always going.
It is so hard. And for me, I have anxiety. So and I overthink. So turning my brain off was impossible at first. But what I did, I would start it by just setting my timer for a minute. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and not think about anything for a minute. I would do that. And then I increased it to like 1:15. So I eventually got up to 5. Now I can do it for 20 minutes sometimes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's also one of the pillars of meditation is non-judgment, right? So if your mind wanders, you just have to tell yourself it's part of the process, but also, okay, let me just bring you back to my anchor, which could be my breath or my body. But it doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of people think that they have to be perfectly clear.
Yeah.
No one's ever it's part of the brain to wander and come back. So.
Got you. Okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing all of that. So you are here for Dating Chronicles, which also can lead to a lot of stress, dating in general, where you give a funny, crazy, or lesson learned dating story. When you think about that, what do you have for us today?
Yes. So I have a dating story back from when I was in New Jersey or Jersey City. And I saw this guy online on Hinge, and he just looked perfect, like very muscular. I date both Black and white guys. So for a white guy, he was my type, like blonde hair, blue eyes. And he's like, I want to take you out to a nice brunch at one of the most expensive restaurants in New York. And I'm going to be coming to a church. And I'm like, oh my God. So took me on the date, and it was an excellent date. We had so much to talk about. And then after the date, he was texting me nonstop saying, I'm thinking about you, like all the things you want to hear from a guy. And then one time we're supposed to meet, and he canceled last minute, which was kind of rare, but he seemed very disheveled on the phone. And I was like, okay, whatever. So that night I was just scrolling on Facebook, and all of a sudden I saw a friend of a friend that I had met a long time ago. And in her picture, he was in the picture.
What? That's how ironic is that?
So I clicked the profile, and then I see an engagement in Central Park between the two of them. Like, he surprised her. And I'm like, wait, well, let me make sure they're still engaged. And sure enough, like, drill down, they were still engaged. And so, I'm sorry.
No, you are good.
Yeah. And so I was like heated, and like, I didn't want to go to him because I knew he would lie. So I literally Facebook messaged her, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but your fiance took me on a date last week. And she said, what? You told me he was at church. Blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so they ended up breaking up. I ended up blocking his number, and he still texts me from another number. But till this day, because we're friends on Instagram, me and the girl, she's like, you saved my life, because if you did not tell me that, like, I would have never known.
Was there any hesitance at all for you to write her?
No, because I'm a pretty like impulsive, decisive person. Yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna do it, because I was more mad at him than like worried about the embarrassment of it all. So yeah, it was pretty wild. But it just goes to show you that like you can't put too much weight on people, and like actions do matter more than words, but at the same time, some people are sociopaths and their actions don't match up. So yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So tell me, what do you think you learned? Like when you think back on, you like swiping on him. Did you guys move quick? Would you have moved slower? Like when you think back on everything.
I think I would have moved slower, because there's a fine line between like being overprotective, because you want someone to like feel the essence of who you are, right? But then like also creating boundaries. Like if someone's texting you every day at first, like maybe just don't put too much weight on it, because they could be very well just they could really, really like you and they want to be around you, but also they could be trying to get in and manipulate you in a way. You know what I mean? So it just taught me to be very cautious and to make sure I asked the right questions. And definitely, I didn't get physical with him. I'm glad I didn't, but to definitely make sure before getting physical.
That's so ironic that you literally was scrolling and then you saw a picture.
Yeah, it was like God was like, now. Because I was like head over heels. Like, even though we only had one day, he was just doing and saying all the right things. So
got you.
It could have been bad.
Got you. And then how do you feel you move now? Like you said, you were head over heels after that one date.
Yes.
Let me ask you, how were you in the past when you approached dating, and then how are you now? I know you just named a few things, but...
Yeah, I was really impulsive at first, and coming from a place of like scarcity, like, oh, I'm never going to find this, let me hang on. But it's like, now I just tell myself there's always more of this, whether it's from the same person or from someone else if it doesn't work out, like always coming from a place of abundance, because if you come from a place of scarcity, you'll do desperate things, and I don't like to do that with dating. And also it's just really important for me to like really make sure I ask the right questions and make sure that we're compatible rather than just there being chemistry, because that's important as well.
Yes, very. Let me ask you this. Scarcity, where do you think your scarcity mindset came from when it came to dating, or if it trickled down to other parts within your life? Where do you think that came from?
I think it comes from, if I reflect, so my family was the first Black family in my neighborhood. So I went to school, all white people. Guys never liked me because they're like, what is, you know what I mean? Like they didn't know what to do with my looks. And so I remember always just feeling rejected and not worthy of someone liking me. And then when I got to college, it was more diverse. And then, there's Black football players, all of that. So people started liking me. I'm like, ooh, someone likes me. I'm lucky someone likes me. So it doesn't matter what they do. I'm just lucky that they like me. And I carried that mindset into my 20s, even early 30s. But now it's like, no, I am whole and fully worthy of anyone liking me. And I can't come from a place of like desperation, because that's not cute. Me, I don't need to be that way.
I have a similar background. I'm curious to know what work you did in order to get there. So with me, it was more so of me being chubby as a kid and all that stuff, and nobody liking me. And then once I got to high school, it totally changed. It totally changed. And I kind of had this similar mindset and got into a lot of trouble dating the wrong type of people. Yes. So I'm curious to know, what did your journey kind of look like just getting back to yourself and being whole?
Yeah, it was that pretty. So I was very promiscuous. And again, it comes from a place of like desperation, right? Like, this person wants to have sex with me.
Yeah, I can relate.
And then like, it's the whole like, you have sex with them, you think they're going to call you and they don't. It's because you gave it away too soon. And it's like that cycle. So for me, it's like, I just can't do this anymore. And I know that there's a better way to date. I just didn't have the tools. And my parents weren't good about talking about that stuff. They didn't want to talk about that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it was really just like therapy and I'm a big like self-help book reader.
Me too. Me too.
Reading about others. Yeah.
What was the pivotal moment for you?
I think for me, it was when I dated someone when I first moved to Atlanta. And after like 2 dates, I was like, oh, do you want to be boyfriend and girlfriend? He's like, oh, yeah. Like, it was just so intense. Yeah. But then it like just unfolded in a really bad way. It was like he had anger issues and we weren't communicating properly. We weren't even compatible. And I was like, okay, Lauren, you need to stop moving fast. You need to make sure that you're not dating. You're not just having the objective of having a boyfriend just to have a boyfriend. You actually want someone that's going to add to your life. And then I just took a long, long break. That was my last boyfriend. And I took a long break, and I'm still on the journey, and I'm dating now. And each experience has gotten better and better, but yeah.
That's so good. Okay. And I know you mentioned you're from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So how long have you been in Atlanta?
I've been in Atlanta since 2017, so 7 years.
What's been the difference for you as far as the guys and the dating culture?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I was so excited to move to Atlanta. I'm like, oh, it's, 51% Black, like more Black people. But I think just culturally, me being a Black person from the North is different than being a Black person from the South.
It really is.
I have patience. I'm more front to your face. Like, but also, I think it's somehow down here, it feels more materialistic too.
I run into a lot of Northerners that are very materialistic too.
The crowd that I'm hanging in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, but to answer your question, up north, like if you're at the bar, guys will go up to you, offer to buy you a drink, talk to you. Here, I feel like guys are just in their own world and it's cliquey. probably been approached once or twice at a bar here, but it just feels more like a game, I guess you would say, and more cliquey. Like everyone hangs out in cliques, and if you're not part of someone's clique, then you're not going to get to know them.
Got
My
you.
experience.
Got you. Do you hang out with like I'm trying to think what the right term. Like you said, cliquey.
Well, when I say clique, I mean like people that went to an HBCU, right? Like I didn't go to an HBCU, so like I just feel like I'm not in that circle. Or like people that went to a Florida State
Got
school,
you.
like watch the games together. I'm not part of that, so it's been hard to like maneuver.
Got you. So let's say everybody's like within their own clique at the bar. That's what you mean. They kind of just stick to their own
Exactly.
clique. Okay. So you've been mostly meeting guys, you would say, through the apps.
Through the apps, yes.
Got you. Oh, this sucks. That sucks. Yeah. How are the guys' mannerisms compared to up north here?
That's interesting. I guess you mean like at a bar or just in general?
In general.
In general, I would say it's more reserved. That's a good question because I don't think I've like totally observed that.
Reserved.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know New Yorkers can be more aggressive, like with their approach.
They're more upfront about it for sure.
Yeah, and you say more reserved.
Yeah.
More reserved. Do you? Because I thinking back on the forum, I think you said something to the effect too of, do you feel like Southern men are more obliged to getting married versus guys up north? Or no?
No, actually. Well, up north is bad, but here it feels like because there's so many more single women than single men, it feels like the men think they can just take their time. And
yeah,
I've seen that where it's just like we've gone on multiple dates and it's just like, okay, what is the end goal here? And you don't want to have that conversation, but they are just complacent and you're just like, I've had to walk away from a couple of situations because I'm like, they're not going to ask me to be their girlfriend. So
wow,
it's interesting.
How long do you normally take to walk away? Do you walk away right away, like after you get a sense, or do you wait? Because I know they'll say, like you listen to like the gurus and stuff online, they'll be like, yeah, after 3 months, if they don't say anything, walk away. Or do you kind of get a feel sooner than that? Or do you wait longer than that? Because some people will say you should wait longer than that.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the past I was impulsive and I met people that are impulsive, so it was like weeks and we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh my God, I can't relate.
I'm such an intense person. I'm intense. And my parents went on one date and then got married 9 months later. So it's like I feel like we're just intense people. But I typically, well, first we'll see how consistent he is. Like if he's not consistent, then I'm just like, I'm not gonna make effort. Like I'm not gonna take him seriously. But if we're talking every day, like my last, I don't know if you would call it relationship, the last person I was dating was for 2.5 months. And I was getting upset at that point that we weren't talking about being boyfriend and girlfriend. Because we were talking every single day, hanging out 3 times a week. Like,
wow.
To me, you either know or you don't. And he was older than me. So to me, within a month or two. But some people say 3 months.
I've heard men say as long as 8 or 9 months.
Oh, no, I'm not doing that. Especially I'm 39 years old. Like, I do not have time to do that. So.
Got you.
Yeah.
Are you cool with just finding a partner, or do you want marriage? You want, like, where are your views with that?
At the end of the day, I do want marriage, but I've been thinking about more and more about what it looks like to be a partner you're committed to. I just want commitments.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to know that I'm someone's person. I don't think it necessarily has to be marriage, but I would love that. But then also understand the divorce rate.
Got you. As far as what you look for in a partner, like what qualities are you looking for?
So I'm looking for someone, consistency is huge for me because I have anxiety, and like if you leave me to my own devices, talk to me every day. So consistency, definitely someone that believes in God. It doesn't matter what the religion, as long as they're not an atheist. So that's just like, if you don't believe in something that throws me off. Yeah. Someone that can communicate, because I don't like fighting at this point. It's just like, let's be upfront about what's bothering us and just communicate clearly. Someone that's a gentleman, and like, I know that's a broad term, but like, I like when men open the door for me and like they're chivalrous.
Are you running into that still?
I am.
Really? Yeah. That's good. Are they older? Or are they around our age? Are they older?
Actually younger. So I'm 39. Like right now I'm dating someone that's 30. 22, and he's like such a gentleman.
That is so awesome. Okay.
Yeah, but it's rare because it's like the person before him kind of taught me. I'm like, okay, I shouldn't be expecting this from everyone because he was just a gentleman. So
Gotcha. Yeah, because they say chivalry is dead now. So I was curious.
it kind of is, but like the right man, I think, or the right, if he's inspired by you, maybe he'll be a true
open doors.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you're somebody who's vocal about what you want, if they really want to meet. So I'm learning that for myself, like be more vocal with what you want and see if they can meet you. Yeah. I want to ask you another question. Okay. You said something to the effect of being really anxious. Your mind will go if you're left to your own devices.
Yes.
What have you done? Because you say you've done therapy and stuff like that. What do you do for yourself when you get into those moments? Maybe you really like this person and you know maybe they're a busy person and maybe it's not them exactly maybe ignoring you or whatever the case may be. Right. How do you calm yourself down?
Yeah, it's hard. Like till this day, I still struggle with it. But for me, I just try to tell myself that thoughts are not fact. So it's like, just like both of us are saying right here, if I'm thinking about work and you're thinking about, it's like, those are just thoughts. But the truth of the matter is we're both here in this beautiful space, enjoying ourselves. We should be present. So I just tell myself to be present. And then I just think about the good moments rather than like the what if. So like, oh, you know, like what if he's over me or what if he's sick of me? But oh, like yesterday he just like did that, which is really sweet. And he's calling me every day.
That's
like,
so good.
Yeah, just pick up all the facts that you can that support something positive because it doesn't hurt to think positive. So,
got you.
But it's a daily fight, girl.
I want to ask you this now, because you'll run into, and you let me know if you battle this, you'll run into women who maybe they've ran into maybe 3 or 4 different like dudes that just was not it. Have you ever had in your mind that men just weren't hitting on nothing? I was gonna say another word, but I'm trying to do better with my mouth. Have you ever had the thought that men just weren't ish? And if you did, how did you work towards looking for positive evidence that that's not it?
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely been like, men aren't shit.
Yeah, men aren't shit, right? Like, because I know for me, like, I was there at that one point in time, and then you that's what you end up attracted, men that aren't. Exactly. But you want to be with a man at the same time. How did you start looking for just more positive, like, information that this statement is not true?
Yeah. Well, I had to tell myself, like, my father, my brother are like, if I think of like the perfect men, just like what I want in men, they exist, right? And like my brother got married at 28, so I was just like, okay, they do exist. And it's also just not fair to say, because if men were saying that about women, you know what I mean, off of their experience, they would know it's biased and like it's only based off of their experience. And then I think also a turning point was with me, like I couldn't break up with someone without like saying they were a terrible person, right? Like I was like, oh, I'm done with them and ghosted them. But then the last maybe 2 or 3 people I dated, I was like, oh, they're amazing people, we're just not fit. And it was like, oh, that's really mature of me to say that.
How did you get to that point?
I think it was just like thing where like they tried, I tried, we're both great people, but we just weren't compatible or didn't want the same thing.
Wow. So you think just really just shifting your mindset and being more positive?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know I had another guest on here and he was talking about how all of his exes, I forgot exactly what he said, but he said something to the effect of, your exes become your enemy. Like, that's it. And it's like, why does it have to be that way?
I think it's an easy coping mechanism. It's like, oh, they're the enemy because they didn't like me, right? But it's like, there's so much more to it.
Right. It's just, we had a back and forth about that, and he just wasn't having it. So, doesn't want to do any introspection. Okay, so we're going to dive into these questions that I have. I need to find a good one. How do you get one to respect you in a relationship?
Oh, well, I feel like if someone's a good person, you shouldn't have to ask for respect. But I think just communicating your needs and your boundaries. And for me, it's just like, I'm just going to say it once. Like if I have to say it again, then that's on me because I need to walk away because that person's proving that they're not respecting me. So.
Got you. How do you stand on boundaries with somebody that you feel you really like, but maybe they're having a hard time respecting that boundary?
That's a good question. I think for me personally, they're having a hard time respecting the boundary, then I would walk away because it's just not worth it for me to sell my boundary. You know what I mean? Like, a good person will be like, oh, heard you, like, it won't happen again.
Right. Right. Okay. How do you feel your life would be different if your emotional needs were met as a child, if you had any of those?
Oh, gosh, I feel like I wouldn't. Yeah. I was very much, I had very, very good, both of them have passed away, but I grew up in essentially an African household. My dad was from Nigeria. And the way parents relate to kids in Nigeria are not the same. Like, they don't give hugs and they don't ask questions. They just want you to like succeed, which I respected about him. But he emotionally was unavailable. And I think I normalized that from men, and also putting men on a pedestal, it resulted in that. So it's kind of what we said, like the whole coming from a place of scarcity, all of that. Like,
Right.
I feel like if my dad was emotionally available, I would be more comfortable around men and would put them on a pedestal, and probably maybe would have made better decisions.
I can relate.
Yeah.
How long was your shortest relationship, and what lessons did you learn from that relationship?
My shortest relationship was probably the first man that I dated when I moved to Atlanta, and I learned that we jumped in it too soon, that I need a man that doesn't stonewall when you get in a fight. Like when we got in a fight, he would stop talking to me, wouldn't answer his phone. That's torturous to me. Like I could never do that. So definitely those two things. Take it slow, and communication is key and important.
What questions do you ask? I'm curious now, to make sure that a person is a good communicator.
So I tend to ask them, like, I'll give them like a scenario. Like if we were to get in a fight, like how would you respond to this? Do you like to go to bed? Do you go to bed angry with someone, or do you like to like sort it out? What is your communication style?
Do you run into guys who can answer that? Like, what's their communication style? Or they'll answer it in their own way?
A little of both, you know.
Okay.
But that's also a sign too, right? At the end.
That is definitely a sign. Okay. Everybody has their own perception of what an ideal partner looks like to them. What does your ideal partner look like to you? I believe we talked about this a little bit. Growing up, what was the most misunderstood thing about you?
I think that I was suffering. I feel like I have a twin sister. They call us the last name is DK, the happy DK twins. And like, I was a star athlete, and like,
Wow.
I just feel like I was inside just struggling with anxiety and the pressure I put on myself, and depression, and not feeling comfortable in my household or at school. So I think just like the complexities of my struggles, people did not know that about me.
Got you. What's one of the hardest things you've ever done when it comes to dating and relationships, and why? Like maybe you did something that was really hard, or maybe you did something that was against maybe your moral compass in a relationship, and then why?
Oh, yeah. So in my early 20s, I was dating someone, and we were absolutely like, I thought in love, but I had a inkling he was cheating on me, just because of like random times he would just disappear. I just had an inkling. So he gave me his password for like a website for a flight that we booked.
Okay.
But I was like, it's supposed to be his password to his email. And I went through every email for years and years until I finally found the person. I'm like, sure enough, like I found what I was looking for. They always say, don't go searching because you'll find what you're looking for. But I would never do that to someone I trusted. Like, I don't believe in going to people's emails and phones.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that was against my moral compass.
Got you. Okay, wow. My last question for you. What type of physical touch best says I love you to you?
Oh, I like that. I think for me, it's like a kiss on the cheek, because it's like, it's not a forehead kiss. It's not a kiss on the lip, but it's like, oh, I like think you're cute, or like it's affectionate. I don't know. I like a kiss on the cheek. Yeah.
Really? I like the forehead kisses, but at the same time, I feel like it just everything that's common sense just kind of leaves nobody. And so,
Don't know that. And
that's definitely my favorite. Okay. Tell the audience where they can find you, or also tell us what projects you may have going on.
Yeah, so we're launching the Renew Her Collective. It stands for Healing, Elevating, Recovering for Black Women program, February 12th. It's going to be a virtual program to help Black women holistically heal from stress caused from gendered racism. And we're going to be launching, it's closed right now, but we'll probably be launching another one again, probably in the spring. My Instagram is LaurCat, the letters DK, so LaurCatDK. And you can follow me for some wellness tips and just learning a little bit more about me. And hopefully I'll have my website up soon. I give it an address right now, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, I will have all of those links in the show notes. Lauren, I want to thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you. This is so much fun.
Yes, I want to thank all of the listeners and viewers for tuning in. Don't forget to download our dating app, Plan for Keeps. And until next time.